In his letters to Lucilius, Seneca frequently addresses wealth, luxury, and the simple life, exploring how a life of simplicity aligns with deeper contentment and well-being. He believed true happiness doesn't depend on wealth, but on internal values and a life lived in harmony with nature. This theme is especially present in letters 17, 18, 87, and 110, where Seneca challenges the materialism of his era and urges Lucilius to embrace a life of modesty. 1. The nature of true wealth, letter 17. Seneca begins by helping Lucilius understand that wealth, in its truest form, isn't tied to money or possessions. In letter 17, he explains that material wealth is often a barrier to peace of mind. It is not the man who has too little, he writes, but the man who craves more, who is poor. Seneca recognizes that our desire for more wealth often stems from comparing ourselves to others rather than any true need. When we measure our success against others, we invite dissatisfaction, which leads us to chase more wealth and possessions in a futile attempt to feel fulfilled. Seneca warns Lucilius about the psychological traps of envy and social status, highlighting how wealth can be a distraction. As we accumulate more, our lives become increasingly cluttered with worries about losing it, guarding it, and ensuring it grows. True wealth, Seneca argues, comes from independence and freedom from these material concerns, which he believes only a life of simplicity can offer. When we detach from unnecessary desires, we gain mental clarity and the freedom to appreciate what we already have. 2. The burden of luxury, letter 18. In letter 18, Seneca further examines how luxury can be burdensome. He argues that indulgence often brings about unexpected stresses, leading to an endless cycle of wanting more. Luxury, he claims, is like a golden cage. It may appear desirable, but it limits our freedom. The more we indulge, the more we want, and the harder it becomes to return to simpler, more fulfilling ways of life. In fact, he advises Lucilius to practice moderation and even voluntary hardship. By occasionally experiencing discomfort, we can become more resilient, and our appreciation for life's simple pleasures grows. For example, Seneca was known to practice periods of self-imposed austerity, such as eating only coarse food or wearing rough clothing. He believed that such exercises freed him from dependency on luxury and reinforced his mental resilience. This practice wasn't about deprivation, but about building a foundation of strength and gratitude. By embracing simplicity, we free ourselves from the burdens that wealth and comfort bring. 3. Finding happiness in simplicity, letter 87. Seneca's reflections on simplicity come to life in letter 87, where he contrasts the lives of those who pursue luxury with those who seek contentment in modest living. Here, he introduces the concept of euthymia, or tranquility. He explains that the constant pursuit of wealth disrupts this tranquility, preventing us from experiencing true happiness. According to Seneca, happiness lies in the ability to be at peace with what we have, rather than in a continual pursuit of excess. Seneca points out that society often equates wealth with happiness, but he challenges this belief. He describes individuals who, despite their abundance, are tormented by worry and dissatisfaction. Meanwhile, he admires those who, with little in terms of material wealth, live peacefully and in harmony with themselves. By rejecting the trappings of wealth, we can find contentment in life's small, everyday pleasures: simple food, time with loved ones, and time in nature. 4. The dangers of greed, letter 110. In letter 110, Seneca directly addresses the dangers of greed. He views greed not only as the pursuit of more wealth, but as a mindset that leads to a life of restlessness and moral decay. Greed, Seneca argues, is insatiable, and it compels people to compromise their values and neglect their inner development. He sees wealth as morally neutral, neither inherently good nor evil, but warns that it can corrupt when one's pursuit of it is unchecked. For Seneca, greed traps us in a cycle where contentment becomes impossible. As we acquire more, we begin to fear loss more intensely, clinging to material wealth as a source of identity. This cycle not only damages our peace of mind, but makes us more vulnerable to life's uncertainties. He urges Lucilius to focus on moral values over wealth, emphasizing that wealth should serve a purpose rather than become the purpose. By using resources wisely and generously, we can find balance and a sense of control over our desires. 5. Wealth as a tool for virtue. Seneca doesn't view wealth as inherently negative. He simply believes it should be used wisely. To him, wealth is a tool that can support a virtuous life when managed properly. Seneca encourages Lucilius to use wealth for meaningful purposes, such as supporting family, helping friends, or contributing to the community. He advocates for a balance, neither seeking wealth as a goal in itself nor renouncing it entirely. Seneca suggests that wealth, when viewed as a tool, can become a source of moral action. He believes that wealth should be managed with humility and generosity, focusing on its positive potential rather than its potential to distract or corrupt. By doing so, we avoid becoming enslaved by our possessions and instead create a relationship with wealth that allows us to cultivate virtue and kindness. 6. The joy of living lightly. In various letters, Seneca celebrates the joy that comes from living lightly. He describes how a life free from the complications of excess is one of freedom and inner peace. When we reduce our desires, we become more in touch with ourselves and less influenced by external pressures. This simplicity, he suggests, allows us to pursue self-knowledge, virtue, and wisdom, unhindered by the demands of wealth. Seneca's vision of living lightly isn't a call for poverty, but a celebration of freedom from need. It's about recognizing that life's most profound pleasures, such as friendship, wisdom, and personal growth, are accessible to everyone, regardless of material wealth. By focusing on these sources of joy, we free ourselves from the endless pursuit of wealth and instead cultivate a deeper, lasting contentment. 7. Contentment as a practice. Seneca views contentment as an ongoing practice rather than a one-time achievement. He advises Lucilius to regularly reflect on his relationship with wealth and ask himself whether his pursuit of it aligns with his values. Contentment, for Seneca, requires mindfulness and a dedication to inner growth, even when society might encourage endless striving. Through a life of simplicity and mindful living, we can achieve the peace that comes from knowing our happiness isn't tied to our possessions. This approach to life allows us to enjoy the present moment, appreciate what we have, and avoid the endless quest for more. Seneca's teachings remind us that by focusing inward and seeking satisfaction in simple things, we build a resilience that wealth alone can't provide. Conclusion. Seneca's reflections on wealth, simplicity, and contentment offer a powerful critique of materialism that resonates today. By encouraging us to see wealth as a tool rather than a goal, he promotes a life of balance, simplicity, and purpose. The pursuit of wealth, he argues, often clouds our judgment and distances us from true happiness. His insights push us to ask ourselves what we truly value and to seek contentment not in possessions, but in the peace and fulfillment that come from living a life of virtue. This is Seneca's ultimate message. Wealth can enhance our lives, but true contentment and happiness come from within.